To begin haltering, I get his halter all laid out and make sure nothing's twisted, and I take that throat latch and just use the buckle to latch it. I scooch everything back just so that it fits comfortably. Next, I tie a breakaway knot away from anything that he might get caught on, and this is just so that it keeps him still while tacking, but also away from anything that he could get caught on, and this just helps ensure his safety. To tie that knot, I loop it through the bars twice and then through itself to make sure that everything is even and doesn't overlap, and make sure that the knot can actually do its job. To begin grooming, I take a rubber curry brush and brush in circular patterns all across their coat. This helps to get loose hair, dirt, and dander out from under the coat. After the curry brush, we switch to a stiff brush, and this helps brush off all of that dirt and dander we just got off with the rubber brush. To finish the coat off, we brush it with a soft brush. This helps get any last remaining dirt out and smooths the coat down, making it all shiny. Lastly, we start hoof picking. We just ask for the foot and then make sure to pick away from yourself. We do this to make sure that the horse's hooves are healthy and have nothing in them that could compromise them. To begin saddling, we'll take a saddle pad and slide it up the horse's withers and then back down into a comfortable position. Next is the actual saddle, so we'll pop that over his back and set it down gently, approaching from the left side, and then we'll take that saddle pad and we'll tent it into that swell so it's not pinching the withers. Next, I will undo the billet strap and grab the girth that my riding partner is handing me. I first check to make sure I like where the girth hits on him, and then I'll go ahead and start looping my billet strap through the D-ring. After I finish looping it through once, I'll go ahead and loop it through a second time. Before I finish buckling and tightening, I tap him and to let him know that I'm going behind and checking that everything aligns with his spine. Once I'm happy with that, I go ahead and finish buckling everything in place. Once I finish cinching it down and buckling it, I go back through and make sure that the straps are all even and one's not tighter than the other. Next, start putting on the boots, so I'll put that in the correct position, and then I'll take the two little flaps and I'll Velcro them, and then later I will usually go back through and re-Velcro them to make them tighter. Next is bridling, so we'll take that halter off and hand it away. Then I'll ask for his head back and start separating out the bridle and throwing the rein I have in my hand over his neck. Once I'm all separated out, I offer him that bit, and he was pretty happy, so he took it without grief. Next, I'll slip his ears through the ear holes, and I'll take that throat latch and I'll latch it. I'm also making sure that the bit's not too tight, and then I double check that throat latch that there's plenty of space. Next, in mounting, I'm there in the back, a nice up and a nice down, and then I put my feet in the stirrups and make sure they're correct. Here is an example of a nice slow 4-beat walk, 1, 2, 3, and 4. here I am coming in at a walk and then asking for a halt. Once I'm happy with that, I'll ask for a few backs. To get him to back, I imagine a wall in front of me and apply a little pressure with the reins and also with my feet. Starting from a halt or a stop, I ask for a little bit more to start walking first. I then start asking for a little bit more because I want to get to a trot. And right about now, I'm hitting that trot, and you can tell by those diagonal pairs of legs moving. Right here, I ask for a little bit more, and so you can see the trot going a little bit faster, and this is a great example of seeing those diagonals move. When coming out of a trot like I am here, I just sit down, take a breath, and that signals that he can drop down to a walk. To begin dismounting, I ask him to turn away from my camera and then halt. I then start bridging my reins to start the dismounting, but he starts moving, so I give him a little correction and then continue my dismount. As I'm dismounting, I look around, make sure there's no traffic. Oop, I have a little bit of drag there, but I fix it and I hop down. After I'm back down on the ground, I'll fix my reins and then I'll give him some good scratches. Next is unbridling, so I'll undo that throat latch. And then I'll slip his ears out and let him drop the bit by himself. Now I re-halter, and this is just sped up because I've already shown it. Pretty much the exact same process. You organize it, put it over, and then latch it and make sure it's comfortable. To start unsaddling, I'll take that stirrup and hook it around the horn just to keep it out of my way. And I'll take that billet strap out of its keeper and unhook it from the D-ring and loosen everything up. Now that I have everything undone, I'll hook it back through that D-ring and make sure everything is nice and flat and evened out. After I'm satisfied with that, I'll take that stirrup off and I'll go around to the other side. I'll tap him just to let him know I'm going around, and then I'll begin taking that girth and putting it in its keeper. Finally, once I'm satisfied, I'll go ahead and gently slide that saddle and saddle pad off and put it up. Next, I'll go ahead and take his boots off. You just undo the bigger flap and the two smaller ones. So when undoing a halter, you just pull the lead rope, and then to put it back, it's pretty simple. You grab the noseband, take the lead rope and fold it in half, like I'm doing now, and then you put it back through that noseband. You do want to make sure that all of the ropes are pretty equal, so one isn't longer than the other and drops on the ground. You can see that I'm checking it here. When putting away a bridle, I typically will drop the reins, and then you take one of them and you turn it and you create a little loop, and then you flip it over if it's turned, and you do the same with the other side. Sometimes when doing this, the reins end up being not even, and so you just gently pull them down so that the loops and the tails of the reins are all even. And here I'm just showing that the reins are laying flat. When leading a horse, typically I'll go out first just to make sure that the horse isn't going to hit anything and nothing's going to spook it. When leading, you also want to make sure your hands are out of the loops of the rope so you don't get tangled in it. You can see that here. When putting on a fly mask, it's pretty simple. You just gently slip it over their ears and their nose and then Velcro it closed. Now to my favorite part of the learning cycle, bloopers. This was just a really rough dismount, as you can see. Here I was writing money and she just would not stop turning in circles, and I was having a really hard time trying to break her out of it. But after consulting with Miss Cassie and using my offside rein, I got money to start working. In this, I just finished putting away Lori's halter, and I couldn't resist booping her, and so she thanked me with her croaking noises. Perchance my favorite blooper is when I was trying to put Jack's fly mask on, and I was distracted by his halter, and he decided to run away and start squealing.
No. There he goes.
Thanks for watching.